We're also available in conch shells. You
Oh,
just
we
gotta
are?
find the right one. Yeah.
Sweet. I didn't know we had to hook up with Aqua Bro.
Mm-hmm. Momoa Man.
Hello and welcome back. It is finally another Comic Shop Talk segment. We apologize for being absent, but we've had travel plans and conventions, and maybe I'll see if I can pull a little bit out of TJ about WonderCon since he was just there. But yes, it is our Comic Shop Talk segment. We say monthly, but I think we missed last month.
Sounds about right. How you guys doing? Thanks for tuning in.
But yeah, so I guess let's hit that real quick. WonderCon. You were up at WonderCon last weekend.
I was only there for a day, so it wasn't anything really, spectacular or all that. Got to see old friends and hang out. It was mostly just kind of kicking it there, so nothing major. But it was my first time there, so I love the vibe, love the environment there. It's much more relaxed and laid back than San Diego Comic-Con or New York Comic-Con are, and I kind of wish more shows could be like that.
All right. Well, first up, you brought this to my attention as something we should talk about. Erik Larsen returning to Marvel. And the funny thing is, you said Erik Larsen, and for some reason my mind went to Magneto.
That's Eric Lensher.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. It's like, I was like, wait a minute, that's not right.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. It's not like it's on any major, giant return or on a monthly book. It's 3 short assignments. It's 41 pages in total, but it's still cool to see Erik Larsen come back to Marvel. When I started reading comics, Erik Larsen was on Spider-Man. My first issue of Spidey is by Erik Larsen, so to me it's really cool to see that. And he was always one of the Image Comics co-founders who never had a problem going back to work for Marvel or work for DC while he was at Image. It's pretty fascinating. Especially in the kind of late 90s, he was writing Aquaman and drawing covers for DC. He was writing and drawing Nova for Marvel. And as always, he was still doing Savage Dragon. And it's neat because to this day, he's the only Image co-founder who is consecutively worked on the book he started the company with. Even Todd McFarlane left Spawn for a good long time. He's working on it currently, and the book is still going since issue 1. But Erik's the only Image co-founder who has been on the book from the start, never had anybody working on it but him. So it's cool when he does stuff like this. The interesting part about that is that Todd McFarlane, who has notoriously said that he would never really go back to DC or to Marvel because since he is an Image co-founder, he views them as competition for market share. I don't necessarily view it that way, and I've always been glad to see that Erik Larsen is the type of guy that doesn't view it that way either.
Well, and I expect that's kind of cool for folks who are fans of, him working on specific projects like Spider-Man or whatnot. So getting a chance to see him work in that environment again.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And moving on, we got something I saw that I thought was kind of interesting. I actually didn't realize Conan was in the Marvel Universe. For some reason, I thought he was part of Dark Horse.
Well, Marvel got the Conan license back.
Okay.
But before he was ever at Dark Horse, Conan was in the Marvel Universe. There was the Conan the Barbarian series in the 70s that John Buscema worked on. Super, super famous, super popular run. There was a pretty cool Marvel... a Marvel What If where Conan is in the Marvel Universe proper. But now it looks like that What If is a reality. And with Conan returning to Marvel Comics, they're inserting Conan the Barbarian into the Marvel Universe proper. So that I think is really cool. You've got a Conan book happening. And then you've got Savage Avengers happening with Jerry Duggan and Mike Deodato Jr. on the creative team. And then the team lineup itself, you've got Conan, obviously, and then Venom and Elektra and Brother Voodoo and the Punisher and Wolverine. So it's pretty insane. And like when I was 12, if you told me that would be a team, I wouldn't have believed it. And now it just sounds like it's going to be a blast, and it's a solid creative team. So I think having Conan back and using him in a way that he really hasn't been used is going to be very cool.
Yeah, I saw some imagery with him and Wolverine, and it's like, oh, wow. Mm-hmm. Now that's something I had never considered before.
Yeah, and from the sound of it, Conan's going to be in the Savage Land. And I mean, Wolverine obviously has his ties to the Savage Land, what with all the time the X-Men have spent there. And then, of course, Kazar and Shauna the She-Devil and Zabu living over there. So it's going to be neat to see all of the possibilities that come out of this.
Yeah, I think it'll be a pretty cool... That's definitely the appropriate place. I can't think of a more appropriate place for them to house a character like Conan.
For sure.
So, all right. And since you mentioned Avengers, how would you like to see Avengers Endgame earlier than anyone else?
Would I?
Right on cue. Yeah, maybe not after you hear what I have to say. So, AMC's running a promotion where, in a way, it's kind of cool, but this is where I go, we've gone too far. This is jumping the shark. It's a bit too much. So you can go watch all 21 Marvel movies, which is approximately a 60-hour movie marathon, back to back, no breaks. And then you'll get to watch the Avengers Endgame film about an hour before anybody else.
No. I take it back. No, would I? Not at all.
Oh my god. I know people would do this, and you know what? More power to them. But
for sure.
Man, 60 hours in the same theater with the same people.
With the same stale popcorn.
And needing showers and... Yeah, no.
Yeah, I don't... No, that's fine.
I'm good with, like, if I need to do this movie marathon, which I doubt that I'm probably going to do, but, you know, I'm going to sit and watch. If I were to do it, I'm going to do it at home. I'm going to watch the movies. Hell, if I needed to, I could take a couple days off, which I'm not going to do either, but, you know, I could, and then just, like, sit there and watch through all the movies, and then go see Endgame in the theater.
Yeah, I'm fine with, sitting at home and, double feature and all that is cool. Yeah, I can't do 60 hours of anything. I'm sorry. As of the recording, I've got WrestleMania on Sunday, and that's 7 hours of wrestling. And I love wrestling. And even 7 hours is pushing it.
Oh, we've done...
So, 60 hours of this in the same place? Nah, no thank you.
I saw this guide to, like, how to do this, and it was... talking about, making friends with people in the theater so they can watch your stuff when you go out to get food or go to the bathroom or, whatever, like, and, plan ahead so you know which movies to sleep through so you can get your nap time in. And I was like, oh my God.
No, if we have to have some kind of a roadmap for this is not a good idea. I'm sorry.
I mean, the longest I think I've done for any kind of movie marathon is, we love the Lord of the Rings movies.
Sure.
And we would do the extended editions back to back.
It's the only way to watch them.
It's like a 12-plus hour movie marathon day where you just watch all three movies back to back.
But you're at home in your jams.
Yep.
And what I would assume is at least a reasonably endless supply of cereal to go with this.
Well, I suppose you could bring a couple boxes of cereal to the theater.
Sure, I guess.
Backpack full.
Go to Target, get them dollar candies that they sell for $5 at the movie theater.
Yeah, right.
It's good. Not that I'm saying that you should do that, but I'm saying you should probably do that.
And bring a neck pillow.
Yeah. No, look, for anybody who wants to do something like that, I mean, have a party.
Yeah, I cannot see myself doing that.
That's a big old nope.
Yeah, I mean, that's super cool that people can, but and this kind of makes me wonder now if Disney will try the same thing with Star Wars. Are they going to bring? Well, we're coming up to the 9th movie in this entire thing.
Too many Star Wars movies.
Well, and would they and in that respect would they include Rogue One, which I think if you're going to do a movie marathon like that, you should. So you'd end up watching like 10 movies.
Yeah. I don't know if it's necessarily a good idea.
No. I'm not saying, is it a good idea? Do we think that Disney may try to do this with the Star Wars movies when Episode 9 comes out?
I'm sure they will. And, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
And well, that brings back the old argument of, which order do you show it in?
There's only one order you show it in. 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 6. But if we have to be a pain in the ass, Rogue One, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 6. But in the immortal words of Chucky Finster from Rugrats, I don't think that's such a good idea, Tommy.
All right, well, that's enough, I think, speculation on that nonsense. I think, yeah.
Oh, man.
I don't know. But, I don't know, some other exciting news. I know you've always been a big fan of Starman.
Mm-hmm.
And just recently we got some imagery for Stargirl.
Yep, very excited. And I've been pretty vocally critical of DC's live-action output. I don't necessarily like all of it, and your mileage may vary, obviously. What's not for me might be for you, and that's totally cool. I didn't really care for the Titans as much as I absolutely adore those characters. First episode of Doom Patrol was great, but looking at this first photo of Stargirl, what's the name of the actress? Breck Basinger. She looks like Courtney. That's great. The costume is ripped practically off the page, which is great. I cannot believe I live in a world where the Cosmic Staff is on TV and looks like the Cosmic Staff did in the 90s Starman comics by James Robinson and Tony Harris and Peter Snaberg and all those wonderful creators who worked on it. But the thing that keeps getting overlooked on this picture is very clearly right behind Stargirl is Stripe, the big mech suit that her stepdad, Pat Duggan, who, if you know your DC lore, was the sidekick Stripesy to the first Star-Spangled Kid, which is cool because in comics, he was also the very first ever adult sidekick to a kid superhero. So that was always kind of neat as far as putting the idea of sidekicks on its ear. Even in the 1940s, they were kind of thinking differently like that, which is very cool. But I'm mostly excited for this because, again, I love the Starman legacy, so it's very cool to see Stargirl on screen. But number two, Jeff Johns, who created Courtney, he created Stargirl, is obviously executive producing and writing it. But James Robinson, who created Jack Knight and really expanded the Starman legacy past, what guys like Gardner Fox and Jack Burnley did in the 1940s with Jack's dad, the original Starman, Ted Knight, is very cool. So James Robinson writing the series as well it gives me a lot of hope for the show. So I'm more excited than I even thought I was gonna be, and I want it to live up to even my reasonable expectations, not my fanboy expectations. So it's awesome.
Well, it's good to hear you're excited about this, too, because I know, like, based on costuming alone, what we were seeing imagery from Titans before that came out, and you know what the hilarious thing is? Like, so as soon as you start talking about Titans and Doom Patrol, I immediately want to take 2 clips of that. And the first clip is Robin going, "Fuck Batman," and then the next clip is the robot man, was it Rick Steele?
Cliff Steele.
Cliff Steele.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Like, how many times does he say that? It's so hilarious, though.
I mean, I am a little tired of the constant F-bombs. It just feels to me like a 12-year-old who discovered the power of the F-bomb for the first time. So, I'm just, okay, guys, I get it. This isn't Tarantino. This is still the DC universe, but, I'm in the minority. So, whatever. What do I know? But I just did almost a month ago here in San Diego at San Diego Comic Fest. I did a 25 years of Starman panel with James Robinson, and he touched upon the show and talked about the little that he could talk about. And he had even said, if you're a fan of the legacy of the Starman characters, you're really gonna love what they're doing with the show. So hearing that come straight from James Robinson really has me excited.
Well, and between what you were saying about the mech character behind her and the history behind that and what you just said now, it makes me think that we're going to get some maybe flashback type scenes where you get to see some of these earlier characters too.
Well, it's cool because Joel McHale from Community, which is one of my favorite shows, is playing Sylvester Pemberton, who was the Star-Spangled Kid when Pat Duggan was Stripesy. So I think they're going to play it a little differently. They're going to call him Starman on the show, but Sylvester was never Starman. When he was done being the Star-Spangled Kid, he became kind of like early 20s adult hero called Skyman as a member of Infinity Incorporated, which was all the sons and daughters of the Golden Age JSA as adults, or like late teens into adults. But I'm trying to put my nerdiness to the side and say, no, he wasn't Starman, he was Skyman. And except, this is something that's a little different, but with how much care is being put into this, I'm more than excited.
Cool. All right. Well, the next two topics that we have in a row here are ones that they're concerning films that are upcoming in the MCU, but they're also about characters that might not be widely known. The first of which I want to say I think I remember hearing the name, but it wasn't a comic that as a kid that I ever picked up. And that one is Shang-Chi.
Master of Kung Fu.
So
sorry, you gotta say it.
No, that's cool. I guess for the folks that are listening, can you talk about who is Shang-Chi? What is his background? How does he fit into the Marvel Universe? And what might we expect to see out of this?
Oh, it's, So, Shang-Chi is the master of Kung Fu. He is the greatest martial artist in the Marvel Universe. When he debuted in the 70s in Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, and Doug mentioned Paul Gulacy, who created the character, it was very much tapping into what was hot in the 70s, and that was Kung Fu movies. Marvel at that time was very, very forward thinking. I wouldn't necessarily say progressive, because there's a lot that you look back on where it's kind of like, ooh, product of the time. Mm-hmm. But they were forward thinking as far as horror is really hot. So you've got Tomb of Dracula, and you've got Werewolf by Night, and you've got Simon Garth the Zombie, and then blaxploitation was really popular, so you've got Power Man, and you've got the Falcon is a co-star in Captain America, and what was one of the other ones there? Blade in Tomb of Dracula, obviously, and then you with the Kung Fu, and then Daughters of the Dragon, which is great because they meet up in the middle between the blaxploitation and Kung Fu.
Still sad we're not getting that on Marvel Netflix.
Keep your hopes up. But Shang-Chi, Shang-Chi was very much the, kind of the pinnacle of Marvel tapping into Kung Fu, more so than Iron Fist or Daughters of the Dragon or Sons of the Tiger or any of that stuff. And the thing that was... It's clearly something they can't do anymore. Plus, I don't think they have the trademark to do it. But what you find out is that Shang-Chi... he was this, good guy. He wasn't a villain or anything, but his father was Fu Manchu. And do you know Fu Manchu?
Yeah, I remember long
from
time,
pulp novels and movies from the 30s and the 40s and all that. And it was very, very, very almost like uncomfortably racist, the concept behind the character. And so they tried to have it where Shang-Chi has turned against the family business, essentially, and is fighting all of this, crime and human trafficking and all these things, and which eventually leads him to Power Man and Iron Fist and Spidey and all those cool, 70s ground level Marvel heroes, not your Avengers or your X-Men or your Fantastic Four. And since then, Shang-Chi has really been huge fan favorite amongst Marvel fans, and I mean real like nitty gritty deep cut Marvel zombies. These are the guys and gals that really kind of like to get nitty gritty there, and so Shang-Chi has made appearances for years all through Marvel books. He's been a member of a bunch of different teams. At one point, he was a member of Heroes for Hire, Secret Defenders, all this other stuff. But what makes the character really cool is he's not one of those guys who needs to put on the cape and tights and has this great purpose. He knows what he's here for. He fulfills a role, and that's that. But it's cool because like a guy like Spider-Man who feels, well, I don't know how to fight, and my fight style relies on pro wrestling and Spidey sense, goes to Shang-Chi and says, can you help me develop a martial arts style? And Shang-Chi develops a martial arts style specifically based on Peter's powers. So
that's cool.
Yeah, puts on.
Man, the first thing I thought of when I hear that is like I was thinking about like Bruce Lee.
That's essentially what Shang-Chi was,
and him developing his own martial arts style.
Jeet Kune Do.
Yeah. Oh man.
And that's essentially what Shang-Chi was. It was Marvel's Bruce Lee because Bruce Lee was the hottest thing, in the world at that point. But so it's super cool. I mean, to the point where, like, Captain America in Jonathan Hickman's run on Avengers has Shang-Chi on the Avengers and has him in for specific missions and all that. And it's just, he's one of those characters that anybody who works at Marvel loves because you can do things with him that you can't necessarily do with a Spider-Man or a Captain America or a Wolverine or even an Iron Fist. Again, you have to remember, Iron Fist is this amazing, rad martial arts character and all that, but he's not the greatest martial artist. And I'm a firm believer that Shang-Chi could beat Batman. So, it's, he's just super, super cool, but he's always flown under the radar. So, it's going to be neat to see what could possibly happen with a Shang-Chi movie. I want this to be successful. Like, I really, really want this to be successful. Yeah. I don't want to see them get scared like they did with the Marvel Knights characters. Allow this to be in the Marvel Universe proper. Allow this to...
this is, from what I understand, part of the next going forward. It's part of the MCU. So
I hope so.
Part of the MCU proper.
All of the ancient Chinese mysticism that's in there can totally tap into Doctor Strange. You can get really cool fight scenes with him and Spider-Man. There's a lot of stuff that can happen here. Plus, if you really want to play into the Bruce Lee influence on Shang-Chi, he's got to be just a charming dude because the best thing about Bruce Lee movies was just how charming he was. So there's a lot of fun to be had with this if they do it right.
Okay, and then just spitballing, if you were to pull a name out of a hat, is there an actor you can think of that you might want to see play the role?
Louis Tan from Into the Badlands.
Oh, okay.
I think he'd be super dope. At one point, he was my choice for Nightwing, but the more I think about what can really be done with Shang-Chi on a very cultural level, I think he'd be awesome for that. Plus, if you watch Into the Badlands, he's just super dope on there. So it would be cool to see someone who's legit. Like, there's the whole thing about you can teach a martial artist to act. You can't necessarily teach an actor to be a martial artist, that whole thing. I think he's like right in the middle there. So I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Cool. All right, well, moving on from that to another title coming up in the MCU in the not too distant future, The Eternals. This is, growing up, I spent more time when I was reading comics reading Marvel than I did other titles. I didn't spend a lot of time in the DC universe. I'd pick up a few things here and there. But The Eternals is something I don't even necessarily... I don't think it was something that was ever on my radar, and I'm not really familiar
with it. Well, by the time you were reading Marvel books, it's not like the Eternals were necessarily in a position where it's like, oh, cool, let me pick up the latest issue of the Eternals. It wasn't anything like that. The Eternals were really, really kind of a big thing in the 70s. It's another Jack Kirby creation there. And, they're these eternal... obviously, they are these immortal beings that have lived for thousands of years. They're immune to disease and aging. But if they're injured, they can regenerate injured or missing organic tissue. They're fascinating characters. The most popular one over the years has been Cersei, but that's also because at a certain point, Cersei joins the Avengers. I think it was when man, is it when Roger Stern was writing the book? I believe it was, but like even well into the early 90s, like when I was a kid, she was a member of the team as well. So I think that this is a massive, massive undertaking, something like this, because the Eternals are super, 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 super high concept. They are, I mean, everything about them is, they are their evolution, you know?
Well, and with them being immortal, and some of the research I was doing was talking about, you know, how they've existed and interacted with humanity throughout time.
Yeah.
Do we think that this particular movie is going to even take place during modern day, or do we think a large chunk of this movie is going to be taking place, you know, in the far distant past, or is it going to be one of those things where it's kind of a mix?
The only thing that I see coming out of this is this is their next hopeful cosmic hit past Guardians 3. So I don't even know what they'll attempt to do. I think that there's a lot of cool things that can be done no matter what period they decide to go for. But I don't know. It's kind of tough there.
I don't know. I mean, they did great with Guardians, and I like a lot of the MCU movies anyway, so I suspect it'll be a fun time. But, you know, I should say, too, that one of the other reasons why this was on our radar, in addition to it being listed as an upcoming project, was because there's been some casting news on that. So right now the rumor, or I'm seeing now a couple sources are saying confirmed that Angelina Jolie is signing up to play Cersei. And another casting tidbit is that Kumail Nanjiani, and man, I hope I did not butcher that name badly, but he's set up to play a part in the movie, though that's under tight wraps as to what that might be just yet.
Yeah, and Chloe Zhao, who directed Songs My Brother Taught Me, she's directing it, so it's very cool to have another female director on a superhero project. I'm hoping that this turns out cool. I mean, it's certainly interesting casting there already, but I think that there's, there's still work to be done, obviously.
Oh, yeah. They got a long way to go, but
yeah, we'll see what happens next.
Well, speaking of what will happen next, I don't know if TJ saw what I was working on my screen when he was walking by, but I snuck one more topic in for today.
Oh, what's that?
I know you've been telling me you don't want to be hopeful for this, or you'll believe it when you actually see it on screen.
Man.
They start filming in Prague, August 19th.
With the one person they cast? That's great.
Well, it's the one person that we know of anyway.
No.
I gotta say, so Noah sent... No, you do this one.
I don't even know his name.
My last name is horrible. People mispronounce it all the time, so I have I have sympathy for these guys, but I always feel bad when I do it.
Oh, a Centineo. Okay, he got cast as He-Man.
So, I mean, when you look at the guy, just right off, you're like, okay. I know a lot of people are going to criticize him, be like, okay, well, the guy's too skinny. He's not body built.
You can get buff.
Exactly. I mean, look at what Chris Hemsworth went through and did for Thor. So that to me doesn't bother me, because I figure that, if handled properly, that he'll be working out like a madman, and
Sure.
he'll be getting buff for that role. So beyond that, I don't know too much about him. I know that they talk about him being on some Netflix. I don't know if it was a series or a movie, something called To All the Boys,
I Love.
Yeah, it wasn't something that I watched, so that was on my radar. So I don't know anything about his acting or anything. But
I mean, I heard that was really good. So I mean, that's a good sign, obviously.
Can we please get Tom Selleck as Man at Arms? I know that's reaching, but damn.
Like I said, I don't necessarily. I mean, he looks like he'll make a great Prince Adam. Again, the casting isn't my issue. My thing with this is the thing it's always been. There's a whole lot of talk and there's nothing shown. So,
yeah, well, I know that there's been a lot of rumors and stuff about scripts that have been being written or rewritten, whatnot. Now we have an actor cast as He-Man, so if they're supposed to start in August, I'm sure they're working on casting the other parts as well. I don't want this to turn into another 80s version of what they did with He-Man. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed that movie as a kid, but I mean, bring in the characters from the actual universe. Don't just create a whole bunch of new characters and expect people to just be on board.
Why? Give me more action figures.
Nah, look, I'm fine with there being a couple of new characters. That's cool. It's something new that you didn't expect. But don't show me the bad guy, and then instead of bringing in a bunch of his henchmen, you have like they had Evelyn and they had Beastman. And then you had like 3 other unknown henchmen. I don't know. You're like, who are all these people? And I don't know. It was a slightly confusing experience as a kid, expecting to go see He-Man on the screen for the first time, and the way that it was handled.
But did you see He-Man?
Yes, I did see He-Man. There was no Prince Adam, and
there was no Prince Adam before the cartoon.
For many folks like myself, there was no He-Man before the cartoon.
Yeah, there was mini comics.
No. I know what you're saying that there was. I'm just saying for many folks like myself.
I know, but it's fun to do this. I have the power.
Oh.
No, we'll see. Like I said, I love Masters of the Universe. Obviously, I'm a huge fan, but it's too much start and stop. So it's great that you're filming in Prague. I can't wait to see that scene that's being filmed with nobody in it. So,
so what you're saying is that you don't believe that there's been any other casting rumors because there hasn't been any other casting because you doubt they're going to keep secrets like the Marvel Universe. Yeah.
This is a Sony movie, right? Or is it DreamWorks? I can't remember. I think it's DreamWorks. But, yeah, nobody keeps secrets like Marvel Studios does. So, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I really want it to do well, but I am a little afraid that this is going to feel more like a movie made for sci-fi TV than for the big screen.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I won't hold my breath, but maybe I'll keep my fingers crossed.
We'll see.
And on that note, we're going to close it out for this month. So thanks for sticking with us. And as always, subscribe, all those fun things. They help. If you do subscribe, make sure to hit the bell so you do get notifications. We do appreciate it. That's if you're watching on YouTube. If you are listening on a podcast app, we're available on iTunes, on Google Play, Spotify, all those fun places. Just look for Bamsters.
Thanks, guys.